sides. Another prime example, one of which I helped to found many years ago, would be do a lot of initiatives to help to create those sort of prevention initiatives and to inform the public on some of the things that they can do to prevent crime from happening within their own area. So, community-based organizations is a good way to address that.
All right. Does anybody feel the urge to suddenly spend a chocolate coin, or can we move on? All right, moving on. I like this fiscal conservatism with the chocolate coins. That's good. Our next question is about city growth. And the first candidate to respond will be Mr. Mourra. Calgary's population has skyrocketed over the past 15 years, increasing by almost 500,000 people in that time. This growth has put an immense strain on the services and infrastructure that people in the city's northeast rely upon. In response, we can build more or we can build smarter, but either way, it will cost money, money that ultimately comes from the taxpayers. How will you work with your council colleagues to ensure the people of Ward 10 are getting the services and infrastructure that they need?
First of all, to the Brockhoff picture.
I didn't know.
I'm joking.
I know, right? I'll take him up, guys. Now we're sharing.
Somebody turn it off back there?
Maybe something.
You can speak without the mic.
I guess it's over. The floor was over.
Let's go.
All right, whisper your answers in my ear and I'll tell everybody.
Check.
It's Marlborough.
It's probably a dead mic.
Maybe the light is on.
Fuck it.
Light is on.
You killed the mic.
Just reset the whole system.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Back at the receiver as well.
We have electronic expert here. We're spent 15 years on that business.
Yeah.
18.
18?
There you go.
Yes.
18.
Well, I'm sure we can hear you if you speak up.
Yeah, but I like think of like I have a orchestra tomorrow I need to sing, but I don't want to hear.
No, maybe my math is wrong. 85 to 2000.
answers were so good that we actually overloaded the system.
Drop the mic.
So we're gonna take a minute. We're gonna take some deep breaths here, and then we'll resume with the question about city growth. We're just gonna wait for Mr. Mourra to make his way back in here. In the meantime, here's the top of the fourth, 2 outs, 6-3 Blue Jays.
Top of the fourth.
Oh shoot. All right, I think we're about ready to get restarted. We are all set up in the back. As a caution to the candidates, just start by talking further away and then get slowly closer, and we're less likely to overload the system with our awesomeness and or volume. So as a repeat of the question, and as a reminder, the first candidate to answer will be Mr. Mourra. Calgary's population has skyrocketed over the past 15 years, increasing by almost 500,000 people in that time. This growth has put an immense strain on the services and infrastructure that people in the city's northeast rely upon. In response, we can build more or we can build smarter, but either way will cost money, money that ultimately comes from taxpayers. How will you work with your council colleagues to ensure the people of Ward 10 get the services and the infrastructure that they need?
Thank you. So I believe people in Ward 10 are already overloaded before the growth in the cities that taken place. We have so much people that come into our city. What should we do? We should maintain what we have before we welcome more people. even though that people are coming to our neighborhood. I do believe that a blanket zoning or the 15-minute city ideology is the biggest challenge we will face all as Calgarians, especially in Ward 10. What I would do is my job to go for city council, not just to vote yes and no on policies, is to convince and convey my message to other councillors to believe in my cause. Because better work done is better Calgary. And this is something we need to all work together to get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next to answer will be Mr. Chabot. How will you work with your council colleagues to ensure that the people of Ward 10 are getting the services and infrastructure that they need?
Well, it's well known that we have a very alkaline soil in the Northeast, and a lot of our water infrastructure constantly needs to be replaced. So better monitoring, a more cathodic protection, convincing my colleagues that we need to do better monitoring of our system. As you probably know, we had a major failure in one of our major infrastructure pipes recently, mostly because we didn't have the new technology that we have now to monitor it properly. The biggest issue we have right now is 20% of our water is leaking into the ground. The way to mitigate that is by making sure that we have more monitoring stations so that we can isolate where the damage is occurring and better respond to the need. So this gives you another 30 seconds.
It sure does.
And so growth has to be managed both internally and just within the developed area and the greenfield. We can't just do one or the other. We have to do both to be able to accommodate the increased population. But right now, our infrastructure needs can be funded through a municipal reserve or municipal redevelopment levy, similar to what we do in the downtown with the community revitalization levy, which is then paid for by the new owners of the new buildings, so that you as taxpayers don't have to pay for it.
All right, thank you. Thank you for the delicious chocolate. I'll be eating that later. Next to answer will be Ms. Brockhoff. Same question. How will you work with your council colleagues to ensure the people of Ward 10 are getting the services and infrastructure that they need?
So I think we all know that City of Calgary as a whole in the next 5 to 6 years is going to be about 2 million people. We have to develop our housing around transit centers, and then as we build up and you get more taxes, you have more money to spend on the infrastructure. So ideally, we are going to have to build up ideally around transit, and that's how you would begin to pay for it, right? If you build more on less land, it should help. Now, the other problem is, of course, we do have infrastructure issues. We have water, as Andre said. We also have bridges and all of these things that are going to need to be taken care of. We have to increase the tax base. If we do have, I'm watching, sorry, where am I at?
20 seconds.
Okay. If we do have if we have more people paying taxes, we can afford to build, but we cannot keep doing this for all.
All right, thank you very much for that answer. To clarify, we can't keep doing urban sprawl is what you meant.
Urban.
We should all definitely do the sprawl.ca.
Call Jeremy all the time. Sorry, Jeremy.
All right. Thank you. Does anybody feel strongly they want to add more to that conversation at the cost of a chocolate coin, or shall we move on? Seeing nobody jumping at the bait. Our next question is related to rezoning. Yes, I'm getting your cards. And the first candidate to respond will be Mr. Mourra. In 2024, City Council narrowly approved citywide rezoning in an effort to deal with the housing affordability crisis. Previously, rezoning would require applicants to present to City Council one at a time and beg the council and their neighbors for permission to build a basement suite or a carriage house over the garage. In a city with over 530,000 private residences, how can council meet the current and future needs of Calgarians without turning rezoning meetings into a full-time job?
I'll be honest with you, that subject I'm anti from the get-go, because I don't believe that rezoning is something we should work on. But if I'll be a counselor for this ward, I wouldn't even try to work any of my interests to help any of the residents to get this thing done. And this is something I'm not going to be shy about. And if I have the ability to reverse and reject that rezoning plan, I will do so. Each and every one of us bought a house in a single resident region for a reason, to have a privacy, independency, and to be living by his own security, not to have next door neighbor turning his house into multiplex unit, put us all at risk and put us all at danger from parking, from criminal activity, and so on. This is something I would oppose, and I wouldn't work in that favor. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Next to speak on the same question is Ms. Brockhoff. In a city with over 530,000 private residences, how could council meet the current and future needs of Calgarians without turning rezoning meetings into a full-time job?
Yeah, so a lot of time has been spent by council on blanket rezoning or zoning in particular. The blanket rezoning, I think, was intended, but it went too far and too fast. So what we're proposing, we're not proposing to repeal it just because it's going to be expensive. The idea is that we would look at changing it, gentle density. By the time this new council comes in, there'll be 2 years of data to be able to figure out, to make it better, or to be able to try and make better decisions on what has happened since the blanket rezoning went in. Sorry, approvals. Oh yeah. So I think ideally we would be blanket approvals on smaller density, but more gentle density, not 8 plexes in the middle of a block that ruin the thing. And I think communities need to be involved. Every community has the right to, you know, they bought their house, they want their community to stay the same. And I think we need to honor that. But I also think that we need to build housing. So we have to figure out where we're going to build it and where it has the least impact on other people. And there we go.
You said like 2 seconds.
Really doesn't want Heather to throw anything.
No.
All right, and next to speak on the same question will be Mr. Chabot. How can council meet the current and future needs of Calgarians without turning rezoning meetings into a full-time job?
How to keep it from being a full-time job. It is a full-time job without even dealing with the issue around the single-family residential home. As many of you know, I brought forward a motion to council to not approve the blanket rezoning. In fact, I made a motion to exclude Ward 10. I was the only member of council that had all his I's dotted and T's crossed to make that happen. The right way to do it is through the local area plan, where we can do strategic plan density in the appropriate locations, not in the single-family residential areas. And the only way to do that is go back to square one. Go back to the original land use bylaw as it was written prior to the blanket zoning, and then go through a comprehensive engagement process with the citizens to make sure that we put density where it makes sense, not in the single-family residential areas.
Thank you. And I see Mr. Mourra is throwing some money around, so he's going to buy himself 30 seconds.
I just want to follow up with Mr. Andre. Mr. Andre made a statement in 2022 in an interview you guys will all watch. He's the one who said 4 units in a single acre is not enough. We need more unit in a single acre. This is what put us all at density. Now, I cannot change a politician's mind based on a public opinion, but something you need to be consistent in what you do and where you follow. It's not just a wave we could decide where to surf and where to go. Something we need to follow up, and I do believe the opinion is not should be shift from A to B based on what I feel my interest is in at. We need to be consistent in what we need to do. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see some money flying around. Mr. Chabot.
Well, I remain consistent in my opinion. 3 to 4 units per acre is unsustainable, but density needs to be put in the appropriate location. You look at all of our greenfield, it's designed around 8 to 12 units per acre, complete communities. That is what sustainability is all about. Our current communities are unsustainable. We do need to increase the density, but it has to be done the right way in the right places.
You. And as a reminder, you can only play a coin once per question. So the only person who's allowed to still chime in if they want to spend a coin is Ms. Brockhoff. No takers. Okay.
Yeah.
Take their money.
I'm sick. I'm
Take.
fiscally responsible.
I like to see it. I like to see it. All right. The next question deals with city finances, speaking of, and the first candidate to respond will be Mr. Chabot. Calgarians expect that the property taxes will be spent wisely across the city to address infrastructure and program needs. But the inescapable reality is this: nice things cost money. Police and firefighters and roads and public parks and water mains all cost money. With affordability for residents becoming a bigger issue every day, how can the next council ensure that ratepayers are getting good value for their dollars and limit tax increases?
Well, that's not a 1 minute question. First and foremost, I think I have a better understanding of municipal finances than most members of council. One of the things that we can do is utilize some of the funds that have been in excess of what the city's needs are and repurposing them to core municipal services. City's spending too much time delving into things that fall under the other orders of government's responsibility. If we stay focused on our core municipal responsibilities, we can meet the needs of citizens without increasing taxes significantly. Some of the other things include allocating some of the investment income more into some things that will help to keep taxes low. That's just at least a couple of things.
Thank you. And next to answer the question, while she's dancing here, will be Ms. Brockhoff. Again, the question, how can the next council ensure that ratepayers are getting good value for their dollars and limits tax increases?
So yeah, everybody loves taxes, right? I'll have to be honest, I think at this point, we've got a lot of infrastructure issues that we're gonna have to deal with. So taxes are unlikely to go down. That being said, we also get a lot of things downloaded to us from the province, right? We give 37% of our taxes to the province, and we're not maybe seeing the return on that we could. We maybe need to start fighting to get those taxes back and invest it in Calgary. We get downloaded when we don't have proper mental health resort or support. So our police have to deal with mental health issues on rather than policing. Those sorts of things. So I think we really need to look at getting a better deal for Calgary. We are giving a lot of our money away and not getting back what we need.
I can keep going though.
All right, thank you very much. Wait, you mean to tell me we're sending money to Edmonton and then they send it to other places instead of back to us? God, that almost sounds like equalization.
It is.
All right, next to answer the same question will be Mr. Mourra. How can the next council ensure that ratepayers are getting good value for their dollars and limit tax increases?
Well, I should be talking about Ward 10. Ward 10 contribute into the city property tax more than $180 million every year. What do we get in return? I could guarantee you not much. Sidewalk, Mr. Chabot announced in 2022 his project when they were asked, he's going to cut the weed in his backyard. And sadly, I could tell you, our sidewalk still cracked and there's not much enough service. You could, each and every one, you could walk out there. It's $185 million we contribute every year. We deserve to have the equal treatment like Southwest, Northwest, or any other area. Stigma of us Northeast people are less or will not deserve the same treatment need to stop. We have the right to ask for what we deserve. And I do believe we could do it together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, everybody take a breath. We're part of the way through now. Don't shoot the messenger. 6-6. Top of the fifth. It's not me. The next question deals with interpersonal politics. And the first candidate to respond will be Ms. Brockhoff. Even with the introduction of political parties at the municipal level, there's a good chance that there will be people on the next city council who have fundamental disagreements about how best to operate our municipal government and prioritize spending. Can you give us an example of a time that you worked with someone with whom you fundamentally disagreed and you came up with a good working compromise?
That is not fair to ask me that. I think, I'm not sure, I can't think of an example right at the moment. It'll come to me in about 10 minutes, I'm sure. But I know that through my whole career, all I've tried to do is get people to, we're not going to agree on everything, right? And we can't keep saying, well, it's my way or the highway and leave the sandbox, right? We have to start playing and dealing with each other and listening to one another. And I will say, as much as I wasn't thrilled with this whole party situation, it did give us an opportunity to bring people from all political stripes together to try and find policies. So I would say that our biggest thing is our solutions. We have to work together. We can no longer be black and white, whatever. We can't do that, or up and down. We can't do that anymore. We really have to be looking for solutions to all of the issues that we have and trying to find ways forward and be creative too. And that comes from all political stripes. It doesn't just come from the right or the left or the middle. And I'm done.
You have 6 seconds.
I have no understand.
The stop sign means stop.
I know, but geez, stop getting this dead. That's like mid-sentence.
All right. So next to speak on the same question will be Mr. Chabot. Can you give us an example of a time that you worked with someone with whom you fundamentally disagreed and you came up with a good working compromise?
Well, there's one thing that comes to mind, and that was working with Giancarlo Carra, because fundamentally him and I disagree on almost everything. The blanket secondary suite initiative that was undertaken by Mr. Carra and Nenshi at the time, I didn't support it. I didn't think that blanket secondary suite approval was the right way to go. So in working with him, we came up with a compromise, and I came up with what was now referred to as the suite registry program, which allowed us to actually ensure that we could bring some of the illegal suites into compliance using the abbreviated approval through the Alberta Building Code, which got extended through my requisition to Minister Schultz to the end of 2026, which
Add 30?
would allow then more illegal suites to come into compliance. Plus, the city is offering a subsidy program that's actually been funded through the Housing Accelerator Fund by the federal government, and it's been fully subscribed. So we've been able to bring so many of these illegal suites into compliance, registered under the suite registry program, so that they can't advertise them illegally after 2026.
All right, thank you. And next to speak on the same question will be Mr. Mourra. Can you give us an example of a time that you worked with someone with whom you fundamentally disagreed and came up with a good working compromise?
Oh, this one should be quick and easy. Who would believe I hire or I have a guy who worked with me in the front office? He's from the LGBT community. Many of you may spread the rumors out there I'm an hater. I am not. And I do have a lot of good relations with people from lefty side, NDP, whatever they are. And I do have good respect for them. Maybe I don't agree with their ideology or what they do. But yes, I'm a person who have good clientele from some what we call LGBT community. I help and support, and then I have some time where I donated or help them in a matter that I believe there's necessity. I could assist these people. So I do believe there's always one truth out there. There's always one right. Could be too many people wrong. Could be too many people at fault. If I am able to present the right idea, the truth to the people, doesn't matter who's sitting in front of me, he will agree with that matter and we'll work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody want to continue speaking on that, or shall we move on? Moving on. The next question deals with housing affordability. And the first person to speak will be Mr. Mourra. For all the talk recently of building more affordable housing in the city, the reality is that home ownership remains out of reach for many Calgarians. Rent and the cost of living make it nearly impossible to save for a down payment, and an average single-family home in the city sells for well over $500,000. How can the city encourage builders to build homes that working-class people and young families can actually afford and get them out of the rental cycle and into home ownership?
Giving more area for the home builder to build out of the city limit and cutting some of the red tape and allowing some of those contractors to do something that without putting pressure and stress in our own infrastructure will be a key to be successful. And do with partnership with a large subdivision or contractor in the cities. That's something we all need to do. And we need to bring business to the city. So because if you have the money, you could do the job or you could buy what you like. Many of our young men and women are struggling to find a job that they could sustain themselves and find money or save money to buy homes and so on. I do believe that's if we have the ability to cut some of the red tape and this bureaucracy taking place in City Hall and give some freedom to the developer with rules, we'll be able to do something across the city and without putting pressure on the other resident. Thank you.
It would be nice to be able to afford to move back to the city. I'm just saying. Next question, or next answer to the same question to Mr. Chabot. How can the city encourage builders to build homes that working class people and young families can actually afford and get them out of the rental cycle and into home ownership?
Probably the most affordable housing in our city is currently in the Greenfield area, because the land is a lot less expensive and the regulatory process is a lot less burdensome. As was stated by my opponent, reducing the red tape is probably the biggest thing the city can do, as well as ensuring that there's sufficient supply. The city's been putting in a lot of restrictions around supply. Currently our Greenfield product is fully self-sustaining. It pays for itself from the capital costs as well as the operating cost day one. By opening up more land, we can increase the supply, which would then reduce the cost. Supply and demand, basic economics.
Thank you. And next to speak will be Ms. Brockhoff on the same question. How can the city encourage builders to build homes that working class people and young families can actually afford and get them out of the rental cycle and into home ownership?
Hi, so one of the biggest issues is that a lot of developers had extra costs with they need faster and predictable approvals on the outings. They shouldn't have to go through. So the idea is that if it was an easy one, it's like it shouldn't be no more than 3 months or 3 days, 3 weeks, right? Like it shouldn't take 6 months, six years, whatever. Like they need to be done. So that costs the builder money. So that pass that on to you. We also have a bunch of site levies that need to be taken care of. So if some of that cost can be passed on to in another way and not onto the owner or the builder, then it doesn't get passed on to the new owners. And I might disagree with these guys as we talk about expanding. I think the infrastructure that requires us to go out, the roads, the sidewalks, the water, all of those things cost more if you're going further out. So as much as we all like our big lots, I think we do have to look at transit centric developments and going up in those areas to keep it cheaper.
Thank you very much for the answer. Although I do have to point out, my miniature dachshund needs at least 2 acres.
Yeah, I got
Just to remember that. All right. Moving on to the next question. This one is one of the audience submitted questions. This is Calgary. It's a winter city. Winter happens here, and it happens here a lot, and it happens really hard. So why don't we have enough indoor entertainment and activities in the Northeast so when winter does happen, our residents, especially our younger residents, have somewhere to go and something to do? And the first one to respond will be Mr. Chabot.
So one of the first things I brought up in this most recent term is the lack of amenity or lack of recreational facilities and indoor field house. What my recommendations through the strategic planning session resulted in was an analysis of all the municipalities across Canada to see how many flat water pools they had, how many field houses they had, how many arenas they had, and the result of that was what we now know as the game plan. So the game plan depoliticizes the whole process around where we should build what. So it's not going to be based on who pays the highest taxes, but rather completely based on population and demographics, which will result in an increased number of facilities in the Northeast already underway.
Thank you for that. Next to answer the same question will be Mr. Mourra. Mr. Mourra, why don't we have enough indoor entertainment and activities in the Northeast to get out of the cold for the 9.5 months of winter?
Actually, this is a question we need to ask Andre in City Hall, but he did answer before. He said he used to go to Applewood or Erinwood because, in Worktown we have none. And he said in his interview in 2022, something I always wonder, and I'm asking why as well, because as many of you know, your leisure center, if you go on a normal day, good luck to find a parking stall. And I do agree with the youth or the young man who submitted this question. Why don't we have it? Because we don't have the proper representation sitting at City Hall. We have a representative who's seeking better lunch allowances, not looking at the best interest of his resident. And this is something we need to change. And I do believe we need fresh blood and we need to do better for the city. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next to speak on the same question will be Ms. Brockhoff. Ms. Brockhoff, why don't we have enough indoor entertainment and activities in the Northeast to get out of the cold?
So yeah, I appreciate the grain plan. I do think it's a good plan, I guess, for lack of better words. But I do also think that we don't utilize places like this, like the community associations. We don't have enough youth programming. We don't have enough things that we already have facilities now. We need more of them. 100%. We need more rec centers. We need hockey. We need pools. We need all of these things to try and keep people busy and also connect with their neighbors. Right. I think at the end of the day, we all just want to belong in a space, and everybody needs the chance, like, and in winter it's harder, right? Because we're stuck inside. But yeah, so I would say that we need, more community spaces. Definitely, I think that the game plan is good. But yeah, I think community associations have a role to play in this, and we need to encourage them to be able to do it. So
You had 5 seconds.
yeah, it's okay. Hey,
Have chocolate. Strike a pose for the camera there. Very nice. Vogue. All right. The next question submitted by the audience. All right. So it's no surprise to anybody here that recently the province decided that Calgary was not going to be allowed to use photo radar anymore or speed on green cameras, except for now, as it turns out, a couple small sections of the city. That has resulted in two things. It has resulted in less funding for the police, and it has resulted in more speeding. What would your solutions be for those issues? How do we replace the revenue, and how do we combat speeding? And the first person to answer that question will be Ms. Brockhoff.
great. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, we do need to get a better deal with the province. There's places that they should be sticking their nose in, and there's places they probably shouldn't. And taking away some of our police budget was not great. We also need to look at traffic calming and trying, because we do have speeding. I live on a road. My son's car got totaled on our street while it was sitting outside parked. So we do have to combat speeding. We need to slow people down. We need to, especially through residential neighborhoods where it's just a matter of time before somebody else gets hurt. So yeah, traffic calming. I don't mind the speed bump thing. I know on transit roads that doesn't work. But yeah, so I think we do need to get a better deal with the province. We also need to look at traffic calming and those sorts of things to slow people down.
All right, thank you for that answer. Next to speak on the same subject will be Mr. Mourra. Mr. Mourra, how do we replace the money in the police budget, and how do we deal with the issue of speeding on our streets?
Police present, authority present is the main key for security. And as long as they're standing in Marlborough Community Center, you have a police standing there in the station. I'm pretty sure nobody will break the law. We need more present in our area. I'm not pro cameras because it only get the good citizen. Because if you're late to your school or late to your work for 5 kilometers, and then that camera will nail you. And the camera exists before, it then stops the speeding. Speeding still exists. $25 million, it's a money grab from our good citizens. Those punk who steal or drive or just go fast in the middle of the night, that camera is not going to stop them because most likely they don't have the proper registration or proper license. And we need to do something. Maybe common device, speed bumps, or so other thing. And we do need more police present. Money could come from the bike lane or from the climate control or some other project they use. We have nothing to do with it above our municipal level. Thank you so much.
All right, and the same question now to Mr. Chabot. Mr. Chabot, how do we replace this money in the police budget, and what do we do about speeding on our city streets?
Well, ultimately, it's a city's budget, and so there's always places that we can find extra money to make up the needs, specifically when it comes to policing. The city actually recently undertook its own initiative to use our bylaw officers to actually write tickets. So part of the way we can actually replace that funding and encourage or discourage speeding is by having some of those bylaw officers actually writing a physical ticket. Because if you're writing a physical ticket, not only are you affecting somebody's demerit points, you're also increasing their insurance rates. It isn't just about, how much it's going to cost you for the ticket. It has some longer implications insofar as your drivability. And if you have too many points, you lose your license. So that's a good way to discourage speeding in our city and make up some of the revenue.
All right, thank you very much for that. Anybody feel strongly they want to talk more about this before we move on? Going. Gone. Bottom of the fifth, 6-6. All right. Next question will be answered first by Mr. Chabot. And the question is this: why did you or did you not join a political party for this campaign?
That's a good question. I struggled with it myself, actually. I'm not a fan of the political parties, and I said immediately following the election, I will revoke my membership from the party because I don't believe in party politics at a municipal level. It did offer some advantages, though, with regards to the mayoralty candidate in particular, that fundraising capability for a mayoralty candidate doubles. So it wasn't necessarily for me as much as it was for the mayoralty candidate, and I am not a fan of political parties at a municipal level. Right.
All right. Next to speak on the same subject is Ms. Brockhoff. Ms. Brockhoff, why did you or did you not join a political party for this campaign?
I think I already spoke to this, so I won't go anymore. Yeah, I mean, for me, I was asked. It was an opportunity to run. It did cut the costs for me, and like I said, I've got 2 kids in university, and I work for a nonprofit, so that was one of the reasons. But I will say, yeah, it ends on October 20th. The party dissolves. That's the end of it. I was with Andre. I did not like the parties when I heard that the provincial government brought them in. I thought it was a terrible idea. But it did give us an opportunity to work together and come up with policies. Like I said before, through all the political stripes, we managed to come up with really good policies that kind of try and move the city forward.
Thank you. And next to speak on the same question, Mr. Mourra, why did you or did you not join a political party for this campaign?
I am part of ABC party, but I refuse to run under a party because I know I want to represent the interest of my resident, especially if I cannot come in contradiction with party guideline. And this is the main reason I refuse. And why? And then this is the main reason. In other party, I do believe community first is not a membership base, and they are the reason if we're going to lose to Gondek this election because we have so many candidates running against each other, splitting vote, and this is something pushed me to run for city councilor in this word because I do believe we need to unite our voices together because we shouldn't have Gondek running the city one more time. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Does anybody want to speak more on that? No. Next question will first be answered by Mr. Mourra. And the question is this: do you have any financial interest in rental properties or developments in the city? And if you do, will you recuse yourself when discussions come up at city council that might affect your financial interests?
Could you repeat that?
Yeah. Do you have any financial interests in any rental properties or developments within the city of Calgary? And if you do, will you recuse yourself from any council deliberations that might affect your financial interests?
No, I don't.
No, I don't actually, and I successful business owner and I have no interest to do such a thing. And I do believe we need to be loyal to the resident and to the interest of my city resident. And I don't think I would. No, thank you.
Thank you. All right, next to answer that same question is Mr. Chabot. Do you have any financial interest in rental properties or developments within the city? And if so, will you recuse yourself from any deliberations in city council that might affect your financial interests?
I think you're required to, well, I know for a fact you're required to disclose all of your financial assets when you become a member of council. And I always fully disclose everything that I own. And no, I do not own any rental properties.
This one isn't taking very long.
Not even 30 seconds.
Do you have any financial interest in rental properties or developments in the city of Calgary? And if so, will you recuse yourself if they're discussed?
You didn't even really have to ask that. I actually sold my home 6-7 years ago, and I'm actually currently renting, so I certainly don't have any rental properties that I can. Yeah, no, nothing. Look at me. I'm working on profit.
Also, the job after 4 years, we'll see what you
We'll see. I gotta buy with my kids because they have better jobs than I do.
There we go. You heard your first kids come moving in with you.
Me too.
All right. We've got time for two more.
Yeah.
All right. What is your plan? Oh, sorry. The first person to answer this question will be Ms. Brockhoff. What is your plan to reduce unhoused persons in the residential areas of this ward and prevent people from going on a private property to do damage or to steal? The non-emergency police number takes far too long to be answered.
I think at the end of the day, the unhoused person is there because they're unhoused. We really have to look at affordability and trying to get people into homes. So we are looking at building homes first, and then the rest will come. If you're struggling to, you want to find a job, but you can't have a cell phone, you don't have a place to have a shower. How do you go get that job, right? So the unhoused person is probably the first issue. We need to move that forward. We also have groups like Help, Alpha House, those kinds of people that will come and help. But I think at the end of the day, we need to get people homes. And one way or the other, we're going to have to figure out how to do that because they're impacting every part of all the rest of our lives.
Thank you very much for that. Next, same question to Mr. Chabot. What are your plans to reduce unhoused persons in residential areas in this ward and prevent people from going onto private property and potentially doing property damage or stealing? The non-emergency number takes far too long to be answered.
A couple of things. One is increased police presence, obviously, and more bylaw officers, not working just simply in the transit shelters, but also migrating outside of those transit shelters to address some of the issues around the unhoused individuals within the communities, and more resources and better connectivity into some of those social agencies that was mentioned, Alpha House, the DOPE team, and more ambassadors like they have on 17th Avenue through 12 CSI to help to have that presence out in the community to identify some of those things. And obviously more investment in social services. So we need to advocate to the provincial government to do more in regards to delivering those services.
Thank you. And next, speak on the same question, Mr. Mourra. What are your plans to reduce unhoused persons in residential areas of the ward to avoid people going on private property and potentially doing property damage or stealing? The non-emergency number takes far too long to be answered.
There's no doubt I agree with Mr. Chabot. We need more police presence. There's no question about that. But what we need more than just the social service and some NGOs, and I really want to thank the organization here for the safety, but we need to find alternative project to get these guys busy. Unhoused people, they are human like us. Most likely, many of them left home. They are the son of someone or the daughter of someone, and they are in need for help. But just to go find them and put them in Alpha House and stuff, and many of us know, they go there for a few days and they leave it, they go back to be on the street hazard. We need to find alternative option for them to do. And this is a relation we need to take a place between the level of the federal government, provincial government, and the municipal. We cannot carry that battle all alone. This is what we need to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And are you going to spend a coin?
Sit here, eat all that.
All right, 30 seconds on this Brockhoff.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I do agree. Like at the end of the day, we'd like to house everybody, but the reality is that's not going to come very quickly. So we do have to look at more services, more police, and more teams like the Alpha House, and also and the DOPE team, or not the DOPE team. It's the health team now. I know I did the same thing. It's the health team now, but we do need. And we also need the mental health supports, right? We need to start working with all levels of government to try and house these people and get all of us in a community together. They deserve community. They deserve home.
Time.
All right. It was only 30 seconds.
Don't feel bad.
For that.
And don't feel bad about forgetting the name and calling it the DOPE team. My wife is, she actually called my groomsmen the DOPE team. That's how I remember it. The final question of the question round, we'll start with Mr. Mourra. And here is the question. Now, I want to thank the person who submitted this question by name, Jean-Claude, because Jean-Claude printed this question so I can read it. So thank you very much for that. The question reads as follows, and I'm not going to read the whole thing every time, but in Edmonton, there are wonderful initiatives that allow nonprofit organizations who offer free programs for children to access school gyms without charge. This ensures that kids have safe and enriching spaces to learn and play outside regular school hours. Currently in Calgary, many local nonprofits struggle with high rental costs for school gym space, which can limit their ability to provide vital programs for vulnerable children and youth. If you are elected as councillor for Ward 10, what specific actions will you take to make school facilities more accessible and affordable for nonprofits so children and youth in our community have greater opportunities for support, safety, and growth, especially during evenings and weekends? Mr. Mourra.
Our youth are the future generation of this nation, and we must look after them. But we need to look at the interest of every school. And it's unfair to bring, let's not hide behind our finger, to bring untroubled kids and let them into some school that they invest so much into it. We need supervision. NGOs should have access to all the school. And I believe with supervision, with some commitment between the school administration and those NGOs. And we need to evaluate each kid's scenario or situation based on what he needs and what he wants. And there's something we need to differentiate between like troubled kids who decide to smoke dope or to do whatever. I saw 14, 15 years old while I'm door knocking in Temple smoking weed. And this kid, I don't think he'll be a good asset to go to any school and communicate with other kids. We need to help him before let him close to other kids because he's hazard to himself and hazard to other kids. And this is something we all need to work with. I would believe, and I would say, something we need to find alternative option for our special need communities because them and their family, they're struggling and they're facing a lot of challenge. I would love to tell Jean-Claude this is something we need to look after to build the spirit, the soul of the human being before we look at the stone or the building. Thank you so much.
Well, don't give it to Andre, give it to the handsome guy. All right, next answer will be Ms. Brockhoff. What specific actions would you take to make school facilities more accessible and affordable for nonprofits?
I think it's not just gyms. I think it's all areas that we can use. I know there are underutilized community associations as well that can be used. But yeah, we need to use every space we have for our youth. I was a big sports person. I played basketball, I curled, I did all of those things, right? And that's all important. It helps you connect with your neighbors and your friends. And if we can get into the shoot, now I don't really know how to do that. I know that school gyms are used. They're often used by adults at night. So, and you'd have to work with the school board to try and find good solutions to try and get kids in there after school. My dad was a teacher, so in all fairness, I did it all the time. It's not really fair, but that was in a small town. It was different back then. But yeah, it would be great if we could just have after school. And the other part is that teachers are often overburdened. They would stay and do the programs after school, but it's just too much for them. If we can find volunteers, we would likely be able to do that. But they do need to be supervised. You can't let them run around.
And sorry, you stand up just for a second.
No.
You played basketball.
No.
How?
Volleyball.
Somebody else.
Next to answer the same question as Mr. Chabot. What specific actions would you take to make school facilities more accessible and affordable for nonprofits?
Thank you for the question. Well, first of all, the schools, believe it or not, are actually booked through the city of Calgary. If they have one custodian, it's twice the price of if they have two because they have to pay overtime. So to have two custodians is less. I think what a better answer to that question is not necessarily just school gymnasiums, but how can the city help organizations like the Mourra, which Jean-Claude is a part of, to actually build their own structures by leveraging private sector dollars and making city of Calgary lands underutilized surplus lands to help them to build their own purpose-built facility to keep it affordable for those young children and not have to burden the taxpayer with the cost of that.
Thank you. Anybody feel strongly that they want to speak more on that? Seems none. All right. I've got good news and bad news. The bad news is you're done with the coins. Cannot use them anymore. The good news is, even if you've spent them, you can have them back. It's my gift to you. Happy Halloween. And it's 8-2 Yankees.
8-2?
Sorry, 8-6. I'm saying 2 outs. Yeah, 8-6, top of the sixth.
Okay.
All right. So thank you to the audience for your questions. Thank you to the candidates for your answers. Now we're going to move to the closing statements from each candidate, a maximum of 2 minutes, done in the reverse order of the opening statements. Reminder again, you can't use your coins to extend your time, but if you have any coins left over, please bring those budgeting skills with you to City Hall. Lord knows we need them. So speaking first will be Ms. Brockhoff for 2 minutes.
Well, in all fairness, Larry told me it was only a minute, so that's about what I got. But it's late, and we got to watch a ball game. So when I think about Calgary's future, I see endless opportunities, but too often these opportunities are lost by City Hall that isn't working for the residents of Calgary. So many of us are incredibly proud of this city, but there's a frustration that Calgary is not living up to its potential. Safety, rising costs, and infrastructure issues are chipping away at what this city could be. With my work with community associations, I aspire every day to help create a Calgary where neighborhoods are vibrant, safe, and well connected. As your counselor, I will strive to find solutions where property values are protected by smart growth and reliable infrastructure, where public safety is a top priority and where everyone can thrive. That's my vision. That's why I'm running and why I joined the Calgary Party, to collaborate, to find the best solutions for the issues we face, keeping streets safe, ensure housing is affordable without losing community character, build reliable transit and infrastructure, and strengthen arts, culture, and recreation. Calgary has always been a city of builders, dreamers, and most importantly, doers. I believe our best days are ahead of us. It's time to get to work.
Thank you, Nickie. All right, next to give their closing statement for up to 2 minutes will be Mr. Mahmoud Mourra.
I'm gonna go a little bit special. I don't want to tell you about property tax, street racing, and what happened in our parks is we have no amenities. Our elders and our seniors and our special needs community been ignored. In fact, what's going on? I just want to speak from the heart to each and every one of you. Doing door knocking, it did open my eyes. I would never imagine to see such a hate taking place in our society, in our community. I want to tell each and every one of you, we are here to stay, to live with peace and harmony with every Calgarian. Many of us are Calgarian by choice. It's unfair, unjust to judge me by my name, by my skin color, and where I came from. To tell me get the hell out of this country, or to call me a desert monkey, and I heard all of it. And just for you who doesn't know me, I'm conservative as much as it gets. And I've been called by some of my community members, I'm a Zionist or pro-Zionist, because I stand for freedom and peace, and I stand for every value a Canadian could stand for. But to see such a treatment behind a closed door, been fed by someone or whoever it is, just to judge me based on how I look and who I am, this is unfair and unjust. People should judge me based on my liability or ability to do things, not based on how I look or what I say or what I came from. This is something I want to tell every Calgarian. Many of us Muslims or others who came here, maybe I could call myself Lebanese or whoever I am, but my son, he'll be proud to call himself Calgarian like you, and maybe better than many of others out there. So you need to welcome us with respect and honor. And let's live together, because it's something we need to maintain if we want this country to thrive and prosper the way it was. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mourra. And on that note, my grandfather always used to say, Canadians are born all over the world. Sometimes it just takes them a while to find their way home to us. The last candidate to speak tonight with a closing statement for 2 minutes will be Mr. Andre Chabot.
Thank you. Well, I want to first of all thank the residents of Ward 10 for your support over the years and for giving me the honor and pleasure of representing your interests. I've learned a lot in the last 4 years about all the areas north of 16th Avenue that I never previously represented. And I tried to address all of the issues that I could within the limited time that I had from a legislative perspective. It's not easy to get the wheels moving at City Hall, and sometimes you can't get anything accomplished within a certain time frame Max Bell is a prime example. To get that twinned, it took 10 years. To get the investment into the Marlborough Park Community Association, well, I had the money there before I left. It disappeared in my absence. To get it back into the queue was, again, like pulling hen's teeth. I had to reinitiate the Legacy Parks program. At least now, those programs have a funding source. Big Marlborough Park is going to get $10.2 million investment, as well as a number of other initiatives that I identified through the doors. I have the knowledge, the experience, and one of the things that I focused on quite extensively in this term was to make sure that you had your opportunity to voice your concerns to me. That's why I had held 15 town halls. I'm committed to hold as many, if not more, in the next term if I get reelected, and as well as continue to engage the police into some of those safety initiatives that I undertook here that resulted in better coverage by the CROs at the community centers that weren't actually there. They have more or less disappeared. So anyways, I'm hoping that you will give me the honor to continue to represent your interests, to bring my knowledge and experience to help not only your community, but to help to educate the other members of council. It's a very complex organization, 63 business units. I have the knowledge and the experience. I'm asking for your vote on October 20th. My name is Andre Chabot.
Thank you very much. Thank you again to all of our candidates. I'm sure you've given us all a lot to think about, both here in the room and streaming on the sprawl. Most importantly, thank you to all of you, the people, for your attendance and participation in tonight's forum. Participatory democracy only works when the people actually participate. And your efforts to cast an informed ballot in this election show that you take this responsibility seriously. When voter turnout in municipal elections is as low as it is, every informed ballot is worth 2 or 3. So make sure that you get out and vote. You've already gone to the trouble of paying attention to these candidates. You've already gone to the trouble of listening to me talk for an hour and a half. Now it's time to do your duty if you haven't already. Note that advanced polls are open now. They actually opened the other day. And they're open until the 11th. Election day voting is open on October 20th from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. That's a time change from previous elections. So remember, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. More information on where and when to vote can be found at electionscalgary.ca. As a reminder, automated tabulators cannot be used. Everything's going to be counted by hand. So we may not have results the night of. Don't panic. It's because they're trying to get it right. And not right to just get the news wrong. Remember, Gore won Florida, right? If you have any further questions for our candidates, I'm sure they'll be more than happy to speak with you after the forum ends, which it's going to do right now. So thank you to our candidates and their teams. Thank you to 12 CSI and our volunteers. Thank you to Heather, our wonderful timer. Thank you to Diane, my arm candy. I've been Joey Oberhofer, and please remember, if you enjoy your freedom, thank you.